So can you imagine black voters, especially black males, saying, this is what we want. We want an economy to work for us. We want to just afford things day to day on the basis. We hate what's happening at the border because they're taking different resources from our communities. We don't like what's happening in the schools today with them trying to replace the parents with all this reproductive stuff and transgender stuff. And then you have this is what we want to see. We tell you what the issues that matter to us, and then releasing a policy proposal with stuff that we never said that we wanted from the government. And they think this is going to work 3 weeks before election. I'm not sure she gets a bump after this.
Well, it's clear pandering. We were talking about that yesterday. One of the reasons Kamala Harris is stepping outside of her comfort zone, she's going to be on special report with Brett tonight, and he's going to ask, he is he is the best in the business. He's going to ask some really good questions. Politico Playbook talked a little bit this morning about why she would appear on Fox, and essentially what they said is she's trying to expand her appeal to people who don't normally, vote Democratic. And that is, in particular, they suggest, Fox News has a lot of Nikki Haley Republicans who are still shopping around, they suggest. So is that what's going on? We don't know, but we just know she's going to sit down with Brett and she's going to take a bunch of questions. And tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about her answers.
Yeah, when you hear Kamala Harris, and we're going to play a little bit of the Charlemagne de God interview, her plans don't help a lot of families, and including like student loan forgiveness. That's going to be $1 trillion. $25,000 for her first-time home buyers. This isn't going to help any of us, right? $20 billion for forgivable loans for African Americans, promised to consider this reparation plan. That's going to be multi-trillion dollars. Promises to legalize weed. Well, I don't smoke pot. I don't think any of y'all do either. That's not going to help. Sex change surgeries for illegals and convicted criminals.
Did you expect us to say whether or not we smoke pot?
It's your business.
The generalize and think that the black community smokes pot.
Well, for black males, yeah.
Which it would be an insult.
Well,
I not even the number one consumer of weed.
Well, and Charlemagne the God asked her about that. You know, you roll out this initiative aimed at black men and talk about pot, and she said that certain demographics are disproportionately impacted by marijuana laws.
All right, so let's talk about.
She has been against essentially changing the schedule on marijuana for a long time.
All right, let's talk about one thing about Kamala Harris, and we watched it for the last 3.5 years, and we watched it when she was a candidate. She repeats herself over and over again, that she has talking points, and she repeats them, and now she's trying to run from them and never explaining why she changed her mind on those talking points. And now that she's a candidate, she's got her same talking points. Charlemagne, who's known her since she was out in Los Angeles, asked her about that criticism, about how she sticks to the script. Listen.
What do you say to people who say you stay on the talking points?
I would say you're welcome. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, here's the thing. I love having conversations, which is why I'm so happy to be with you this afternoon. And the reality is that there are certain things that must be repeated to ensure that I have everyone know what I stand for and the issues that I think are at stake in this election. Mm-hmm. And so it requires repetition. You know, some people say that until someone has heard the same thing at least 3 times, it just doesn't stay with you.
Yeah, they say that in marketing. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what they told them. But ultimately, it just seems like she repeats over and over.
He originally said, some say you have an inability to fearlessly say who you are and what you believe. We all feel that way about her. She said there's certain things that must be repeated, like you heard. She said, I say the same thing when I go to Detroit as I do in Philly to make sure the people hear and receive what I think. Because if you go to each of her rallies, it's in a teleprompter, and she just repeats the same speech over and over.
So the question is, first, is thank you a proper response to that?
Welcome.
It just... Are you welcome?
Said you're welcome, yeah.
So I just don't understand why that was even incorporated in her response. The second thing is no one is saying that she can't be like any other politician to have a stump speech. You know, some of the most effective politicians do. They have a theme and they hit that stump speech every single stop that they go into, and it's something memorable. Right. The problem is the stuff that she puts out there is not something that you want to be repeated again. It's just a word salad each time.
But a couple of things. This will never happen again. because we're never, I don't think, in our lifetime, ever going to have a politician untested, just anointed.
Right.
So if she came out and said, these are my
Never had it
talking
before.
points, then they go for 8 months. They fight with each other. They have debates. They have town halls, and then they lose a debate. They win a debate, and then there's caucus primary, in, out, and then all of a sudden you have a honed message. So no one would ever accuse someone, again, of just staying with your talking points, because you can't win that way. She was anointed, burst out. This is what she's saying. Hope to coast.
Right.
Polls drop, and now she's got to go engage everywhere rapidly, and we're seeing in many ways spin out of control, and we're going to find out tonight if she's going to survive it. I also think the other thing they're going to do is try to make Trump unelectable again, and they're not bringing up the legal stuff because that makes him stronger. What they're going to try to say is he's lost his mind, he's 78, and he's kind of crazy. He's crazy. And by the way, they talk about what happened at ABC. They talk about what happened the other night, and with him playing DJ. And
it's a total lie, too.
So, do you know, I watched Terry Moran, who is not a Trump fan. I watch him be pretty abrasive. He covered this story. He said, I know on the outside it looked kind of different, but on the inside, the spirit was great. Yeah. It was really a great moment. Right. That is an ABC reporter who's been doing it for 40 years.
Two people were injured. They had to bring in medical care.
Yeah, right. So I didn't want to
keep speaking.
I didn't want to get too far off, but I was just trying to say they're trying to make him unelectable, and they're trying to scare people that we're all going. Any enemies are going to be arrested and jailed. Listen.
Hi, I'm Bobby from Georgia, and I have a question for Kamala Harris. Could you please respond to Trump's claim that he's going to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to round up immigrants if he wins the election? This law was last used to put Asian Americans in internment camps during World War II, and I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps, and I'm scared.
Yeah, so you've hit on a really important point and expressed it, I think, so well, which is he is achieving his intended effect to make you scared. He is running full time on a campaign that is about instilling fear, not about hope, not about optimism, not about the future, but about fear. And so this is yet another example.
And you know what?
The irony is that she's been playing the fear card.
She's playing the fear cards, and also it's illegal immigrants. It's not just immigrants in general. And also, was there a follow-up to say the majority of Americans now support mass deportation of illegal immigrants? It's not a fear tactic. You know who's people? The people in fear? The people that have had guns pointed at them in their own apartment complexes, taking over bodegas, going after people in the middle of Times Square, the old ladies with the purses being stripped on people on mopeds that shouldn't be in the country. Those are the people that are fearful right now.
Well, and so there she is talking about how Donald Trump is, it's a bad guy, threat to democracy. We've heard all that stuff a million times by now. What's interesting is during her interview with Charlemagne the God, it was, he did ask some good questions. He had some good questions, and she said stuff we have not heard her say before, which is interesting. However,
she's going to investigate reparations. She's going to consider that, maybe?
Well, she just has expanded on things that we hadn't heard before. But then again, it was a friendly audience because he pretty much said Donald Trump is a racist, or rather a fascist, and that Donald Trump should be in prison. But while she tries to paint him as the world's worst person, here's Donald Trump yesterday actually trying to make people feel optimistic about the future, and that's why he wants to be president again.
With your vote, we will create millions of new, great-paying jobs. Wages will soar. Your taxes are going to fall. You saw that. Your net worth will skyrocket. America will be confident again. America has lost its confidence. It's a terrible thing to say. I said it one time, and I said, it's actually true, but it's going to come back very quickly. America will be respected again. The American people will be optimistic again, and you will be proud of the life and the future you are going to give and giving to your children. Our legacy will be nothing less than the rebirth of the American dream.
For everyone who's calling the show and worried about whatever Donald Trump might do, might put everybody in camps if you're not white.
So
he was president for 4 years. He just wants to keep illegal immigrants out of the United States. He wants them to pay their fair share and to do it the right way. That's it. It's not so scary. It's just if you're here illegal, you should be paying taxes. Either you're a citizen or you're not. And if you're not, he says he's going to remove them. He's going to do away with sanctuary cities. He's going to bring down the cost of food at the grocery store. He's going to bring down the price of gas. Your energy bill is going to be cut 50%. Those are things that Americans care about. We care about safety, and we care about the money in our bank accounts.
Right, and I also think he's outworking her. And
totally.
His schedule's a lot thicker. It's a lot more substantive. And he just went with that Bloomberg interview instead of a friendly CNBC interview. He's going to be going on. I'm sure this town hall is going to have some abrasive, aggressive questions at him today and with Univision. And I look forward to seeing Harris Faulkner's town hall today at 11 o'clock. So
me too.
He's out there too.
I was talking to two ladies last night, and one of them has a young son, and she said, you know what I worry about? Our national security. She said, because if we have another war, my son, I don't want him drafted. And I thought, wow, I haven't thought about that, because, I mean, I've heard other moms say that, but having a little girl, you don't think about that. But we can't. When it comes to our national security, Trump is so strong.
Well, and one of the things he's strong on is the border. And the border really is national security.
100%
because there are so many people coming in here. And, you know, we were talking a little bit about the Afghan national who we heard from the administration. Yeah, he was vetted 3 times. Wasn't vetted at all. That's embarrassing. Of course, we won't get any answers to those questions about him until after the election, because he is proof that they're letting in pretty much anybody without checking them. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.